What up, YouTube? It's your boy, I See the God King, checking in again. And today I'm be talking about the silent recession that's almost to the point where it's not so silent no more. And I want this video to be about how I maneuvered through the recession to try to make my load a little less hectic, you know? So, in an earlier video I did a video about looking into doing a bankruptcy. See if bankruptcy was good for me. And I had one of my good friends, Coach G, come on, and we did a whole video, and he went through the steps of what he did in his bankruptcy. So my wife looked into it, like what he talked about, and in doing that, hold on, let me close this thing. It's too loud for me. Can't concentrate. All right, sorry about that. But when we looked into doing it, because like I mentioned before, we own a couple of properties and we do rental properties. The bankruptcy didn't work for us because when we made a appointment to talk with an attorney, she told us that the courts are going to say, hey, well, you have equity in the home, you should just sell the home and then pay off the debt. So we did not feel comfortable at this point of selling our properties to do that. So then option two, I went on my trip to Colombia with a good friend of my friends, two guys, and one of them was telling us how he went through the Heloc. Now, it wasn't my first time hearing about the Heloc, but because in the past everything was going so smooth, I never really looked into it, even though I was aware of it. But since he went ahead and did it, I was asking him about it, and he was telling me that he did the Heloc through Navy Federal. And he was telling me about the benefits with Navy Federal. So as soon as I came back from Colombia, I started doing research and looking into the requirements for getting a Heloc through Navy Federal. Now, another good friend of mine, she told me that I should have looked into doing multiple financial institutions that will provide Heloc options. Now, because I was in the crunch, or I felt in my mind that I was in the crunch, once I reached out to Navy Federal, they, I had to create an account, and I was not in the military, but my grandfather was in the military, so I was able to get in through Navy Federal through that way, and then I was able to make an account. After I made an account, I did like a regular checking account, and then I went on to the website to apply for the Heloc. And because I wasn't going to do my primary residence for the Heloc, I used one of the my rental properties. They told me that the max you could do for an investment property is $100,000. And so I was like, okay, that's fine, because I didn't need more than that. I really didn't even need the 100,000, but I was thinking ahead, like, I'd rather utilize this money and not need it than need it and not have access to it. So the process was pretty quick and I'll take that back. The process of applying was simple. It was all online. They're going to ask for a few documents, and then I'm going to assume that if you didn't have what they needed up front from applying online, that they would have denied you just off just being online. Now, they did say that you needed a credit score of 660, I believe. It's either 660 or, yeah, it's got to be 660. That's the lowest credit score that they're going to need you to have. So I had that clearly, and I was able to go through the steps. And after I did the application online, then from there, it went they assigned me to a case agent because they emailed me, notified me that I was pre-approved, and then that somebody's going to reach out to me. So then, like within a day or two after that step, I got an email from a call from a lady I was contacted, and she was telling me she was assigned to my case and she's going to help me go through the process. So they're going to ask for your W-2s. It's almost as if you're almost about to buy another property, basically. So they asked me for my W-2s and all the information. They wanted to see my tax returns. They wanted to see the car, and because when you go to their website to apply, they are going to ask you, what do you need this money for? Is it for home remodeling and things of that nature? So I just put debt consolidation. Now, when I did the debt consolidation, once they looked into my tax returns and they needed all my credit card information that I was looking at, they actually said, hey, well, after looking over your files and over your debt, we're going to basically add this to it and multiple other cards. Now, I really only needed to get 2 credit cards under control, but they actually said, hey, well, you have your vehicle, and in order for you to qualify, we need to add your vehicle, those 2 credit cards, and then later on in the process, they added a 3rd credit card. Now, keep in mind, I did not need all those other cards. I just really was needing to get 2 credit cards that started to get out of hand for me. So what I ended up doing was, I didn't have a choice in the matter, even though I should have probably looked around and saw if anybody else could have gave me a better deal, but I didn't feel like going through that. I was just being lazy, I'm gonna be honest. And so I just proceeded. And so I went from paying on credit cards. I was paying probably like $2,000 average a month. So I needed something to help stop the bleeding, and the Heloc seemed like it's going to give me that out. So basically, I was able to consolidate all my credit cards, not all, but majority of my big ones, the ones that I had a lot of debt accrued on them. So it was 2 of my big credit cards. It was 3 credit cards in one of my vehicles. So they consolidated all of that, and I went from paying anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 on vehicle and credit card to now consolidating all of that to be a payment of $520. So that was really great, and it's basically it really is just you just transferring debt over, and it buys you time to figure out your next step to do a better strategizing and help alleviate some of the funds that you're spending on your budget. At least that's what it was for me. So yeah, and just a quick note with the home equity line, the Heloc, the payments that you're going to be paying are interest only payments. So keep that in mind. I don't want you to think that, oh, you went from $2,000 to $3,000 a month to $520. That $520 is the minimum balance for a minimum for interest only payments. Now, if you're smart, you're just going to either pay more, so you won't go for the lifespan of the loan. So while speaking on that, the lifespan of the loan is I had 20 years to have access to this money, and after the 20 years, it will go from another 20 years. But if I have a balance left over, then that last 20 years, I don't have access to the money, and I will just be paying interest and principal on it. So that's something good for you to consider. I don't plan on having this debt for that long. To be honest, I hope to pay all this stuff off within the next 2 to 3 years, if not 5. But definitely not the lifespan of the loan. And then once I get that paid down, then I will have access to upwards to $100,000. And then I can utilize that for other things. But for right now, I just wanted to get something to bring my overhead down, and so I can have it something more manageable. And so then that I can now start to pivot and have a better handle on my budget, so we can get things just stable. And so that's what I did, because my biggest fear was I saw that some of the housing prices have already kind of peaked, and I felt I didn't want them to go down dramatically, and then somehow that impacts the equity that I could have been able to pull from that particular property. So that's another thing I had to keep in mind as well. But yeah, so I did the Heloc. That really helped, and that tool, it actually just went through. Matter of fact, they're going to send an attorney slash notary guy to come over. He came over, and we signed the documents, and literally within 30 minutes, I got my checks. I got some temporary checks to have access to the funds that were left over from the Heloc from after paying off the debt. So yeah, it was a great experience. It definitely helped me out. I'm not sure. My friend who she had a Heloc, she said that they just gave her access to the funds. Now she didn't have to do the debt consolidation, and I don't know if that was just my particular situation or is that just how Navy Federal does it in general. So in hindsight, I would say look around, shop around, and see who has better offers. She went with a smaller bank, she told me, and another thing with the interest on the Heloc, the interest is not, well, at least with Navy Federal, the one I got, it's not a set interest rate. It's going to change. So my thought process was, right now the interest rate is pretty high, and we already been hearing in the news that the Fed is going to be cutting rates. So I figure at this point I'm coming in at a high point, and that the interest rate will be going down within the next couple of years. So with that being said, that's another incentive for me to get that paid off rather quickly. But yeah, that's my story. If you have any questions, you want to leave any comments, I'll get back to you guys. But that's what I did, and it's going to be great, because the best part about it is it's clearing off all the debt on all the different credit cards, and my vehicle that I was doing fine, we'll make my payments, but in the long run, the car is paid off now, and I got 3 of those credit cards paid off, and so I'm sure it's going to be a positive impact on my credit score. So yeah, and I still have a good amount of money left over that I could pay if I wanted to add more debt, any more credit cards. I still have some credit cards or anything, it's just a great option to have. Now, if you don't have a lot of equity in your home, this might not be the option for you. If you have rental properties and you don't have any liens or anything on there, then it's a great option to have. So I know this method might not be useful for everybody, but it's just another perk of being a homeowner or owner of any kind of property. So that's it. I just wanted to make this video while it just fresh in my mind. I delayed on making this video, and I wanted to go ahead and put it out. Don't mind the hair. I'm about to go get my hair done real quick. And yeah, so I see the God King signing out.